I'd like to call to order the Common Council meeting for June 1st, 2015. You please stand for invocation, and Bobby, if you please lead us.
Glad you're here. Gracious God, we thank you for this day, God. We thank you how you continue to bless us and keep us. God, we thank you for this council. Be with them, watch over them, and protect them. Continue to help them to continue to make good decisions, and help them to always depend on you to make those decisions. We ask you to be with all of our leaders of our city, our county, our state, and our country. We ask you, Lord, to be with all of our first responders. Watch over them, help them to be safe, keep them safe, and help them to keep us safe. God, we ask you to continue to watch over our leaders and all our staff members for our city. Be with them and be with their families. Give them the strength they need. Let them know they are very much appreciated. And God, we thank you for this community, especially for those who think enough of their community to come out to these meetings to watch over and to see what's going on with our city. Lord, take care of all of us. Help us to continue to do what we can do to make this a great place to live. For not only us, but for our families and for visitors and persons who may pass through our community. We ask it all in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bobby. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Smith.
Present.
Councilperson Wadsworth.
Present.
Councilperson Sellers.
Present.
Councilperson Webb.
Present.
Council President Gill.
Present.
Councilperson Julius.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record reflect 8 council members present. Councilperson Zastavny absent.
And Council Vice President Sestani asked me to relay that he is out of town on business. Minutes to be approved.
I have want to clarify a couple points in the May 18th minutes. And I wasn't here, so I'll be abstaining from the vote, but I did want to ask. On page 2 in the first paragraph, it does read, Councilperson Smith made a motion to approve advertising an RFQ for a new ladder apparatus, quint, and tanker pumper. The terminology to me was a little weird there. I wanted to make sure there was only 2 apparatus being put out. It's a quint, which is a ladder apparatus, and then the tanker pumper. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, there's just 2.
Okay. When I read it the first time, it made it sound like there were 3, and I didn't think there were 3. And then under Joe Hurt, number 2, talks about minimum 4 people minimum per apparatus. And again, I wasn't involved in the discussion, but I wanted to make sure in some of the discussions that I had been involved in, we were talking about a minimum of 4 people per aerial apparatus. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That's not all apparatus that we're talking
No.
about right now?
No, it's just that.
So how do you want me to correct these? Because this is what this exactly said in the meeting.
Aerial. Wouldn't it, what would you call it, Mike?
Ladder quint aerial. It'd be an
Aerial
aerial apparatus
aerial
for ladder
apparatus.
truck.
So just add the word.
Ladder truck would be fine.
Okay.
I think that covers it.
Like I said, I wasn't here, so I just wanted to make sure I was reading right.
Mhm.
Okay, and on Mr. Hurt, how do you want that?
Just 4 people minimum per aerial apparatus.
Is that a motion with changes then?
I'm not making a motion. I can't.
I'll make a second motion with changes.
Well, I need first, please.
I'll make it first.
Okay, I got a first.
I'll second with changes.
I got a first and a second with changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
The abstention.
Approval of the agenda, and we do need to add Mr. David Simpson, so we're going to add him in new business. Do you want to add him?
Where do you want to put it, Lisa?
It's your all's discretion. I would
mean,
say put him
Okay.
on number 1 and move everybody else down.
Number 1 of new business.
Okay, Okay, yeah, he's here.
Is that okay?
You'll be going first in our new business.
Motion to approve with change.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second with changes, adding Dave Stinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved.
Have 2 hand carry claims. One for Charles Nasby for the Public Arts, and then one for David Simpson for the Parks Department.
What are the totals on each of those?
Oh, I'm sorry. Nasby is $1,500 and Simpson is $1,700. So that brings the claim total to $557,996.61. It's $1,557,996.61.
And I did go in and went through all the claims, and they were in order.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve them.
I have a question, sorry. On page 5, under the Police Merit Board, we have testing for new firefighters. Is that incorrect description, or should that be down on the Fire Merit Board?
That's a,
Where do you see that? Oh, yeah.
On page 5, under Department 46, Police Merit Board, there's a,
This needs to be changed.
so it
One I thought, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
needs to come out of Fire Merit?
yeah.
Okay.
And
Yes.
it's going to be corrected.
Yeah, and it was changed in the claims that I went over. Good eye. He has a good eye. Okay, did I have a motion in a second? Just want to make sure I didn't miss any motions.
I didn't, yeah.
That's all I had.
Any other questions? Asking for approval?
Was there a motion? I thought we'd had one.
I didn't hear one.
I didn't hear one.
You were asking questions.
Yeah.
Motion to approve
Second.
with the hand carries.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve with the hand carry changes of $1,557,996.61, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Any further discussion, questions, or concerns? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Heather. Report of the clerk.
Yes, I have a couple of things. One is, I'll be in training next week with State Board of Accounts. And the other request I have is, if anybody is going to be on the agenda, please make sure I am notified before Wednesday. Because everything needs to be in by Wednesday so we can start on the packets Thursday morning first thing.
Vicki, what would be a good policy if something happens that we do have something come up that we have to get them on? Just bring them in and put them under, make an addition to the budget, in case something does happen. It happens very seldom, but it could happen.
Yeah, it could. The thing is that we set it, and it's constantly changing. And what happens is by Thursday, when we get ready to make the packets, people will come in and say, oh, I want to add somebody else on. So we've already started on packets. We're wasting paper.
Okay.
So, if either text me or something to make sure that, because that's the last thing I do is print out the agenda when we start on the packets.
Okay.
Is that all you have? Unfinished business, Heather. We will have a public hearing on this additional
You added
appropriation.
David Simpson in first, I think.
No, we're in unfinished business.
Oh,
He's on
okay.
new business.
Oh, I got you. My bad.
Yes, this is for public hearing on ordinance number 2015 OR 24.
Does council have any questions before I open up the public hearing? Okay. At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. If there's anybody here who wants to speak on this ordinance for additional appropriation, please come forward, state your name and address, and just come on up. Okay, seeing none, public hearing is now closed. This was passed on first reading.
I'll make a motion to pass 2015 OR 24 on the second and third.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and pass on, and a second pass on the second and third final reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Heather, and this is a public hearing on this one too, the additional appropriation. This was passed on first reading.
For ordinance 2015 OR 25. This
And we
one
can't
was
get it-
changed for the fire salaries.
We can't get it up for the public. That would be helpful, thank you. Okay, so, yep, that's it. Council have any questions or comments before I open up public hearing? Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. If anybody wants to speak for or against an additional appropriation, come on up, state your name, address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I'm officially closing public hearing.
Motion for 2015 OR 25 on second and the third reading.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to pass 2015 OR 25 on the second and third. Any further discussion, questions, or comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And Heather, we have an ordinance transferring certain funds within the same department. This passed on the first reading.
Requesting approval for ordinance number 2015 OR 26 for the transfer. For River State.
Pass it on the second, third reading?
Second.
We got a motion and a second to pass 2015 OR 26 on the second and third reading. Any further discussion, question, comment? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Heather. Under new business, first up, we've got Dave Simpson giving a report on the sponsorship program.
Hello. Thank you for the time this evening. Well, here we are, the start of the summer concert series and the event season, which is exciting for the city of Jeffersonville. Continues to grow year after year, and we continue to try to make it do that. Here about 2 months ago, and even prior to that, the idea came from several event boards as to how do we continue to grow and maintain the events that the city of Jeffersonville puts on each year. And sponsors of the local community is one of those things that we identified as a key way to do that. With that said, we presented the ability to build a program called the City Partners Program, completely redo the program with a focus on city partners and what we can do to build a long-term relationship. To this point, just a few months later, the concern at that point was what do we do to put it in place and to get it into a position to where we're ready to go for 2015, and then in turn carry it over and continue to grow it in 2016 and the years to come. Any reported numbers that I give, of course, City Council or anybody are numbers that are pretty much contracted as of today. And moving forward, we have several other businesses and corporations, small businesses, large corporations alike, that are getting involved, that we're presenting to, and that are starting to get involved in what we have to do each year in respect to all the events that we have going on. In the years past, we haven't had much response, to my knowledge, in regards to any of the larger corporations, but we continue to get that support from the local community and the hometown businesses that we're involved in. We continue to get that local support with the assistance of companies like Walnut Ridge, Snyder Lance, Crunchers, Security Pros, Coyle, Chevrolet, just to name a few that are on board with this year as well. But in addition to those, some of the other customers, or corporations that we've talked about going out and get, for instance, Coca-Cola, United Parcel Service, Papa John's, and Thornton's. These are all companies that we've sat down with and that we're continuing discussions with now and getting involved in this year's events and then in the events to come in the years to come. So with that said, the reviews that we've been getting in the market have been great. These corporations and businesses that we're meeting with aren't just one-on-one and one-offs, but they're city partner-focused meetings like we wanted. Our foot is in the door and we're moving in the direction that we want to go to build a business partnership, to build and show these companies how we can show them a return on their investment as they help support us in bringing these events to the community and the families of the community, but what we can show them as businesses, how we can help grow their brands. So we're there. That's the good news, and I wanted to kind of share that with you folks today and let you know kind of where we're going. The success to this point in just a few short months has been great, and we've got a lot of stuff working now with budgets already hitting the head for some of these companies, and their big discussions are 2016. So it's good to know that we've already got talks on the board for next year as well. So if any questions in regards to where the program's at now, or...
Great, thank you.
Excellent job.
All right.
Doing great.
And again, many of you come to me week to week with business leads and community folks that are involved in the community or that have businesses that are involved in the community. If you have any of those, feel free to get to me. I know many of you have already. Those contacts are made immediately, and we continue to sit down with them and toss around ideas as what we can have to help grow the program and grow the city events. So feel free. If you don't have my business card, I'll leave some at the front. All right.
Thank you so
all.
Okay, we got Chief Kavanaugh, Memorandum of Understanding for the JAG Grant.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm coming before you to ask for a resolution that is in support of an interlocal agreement between the City of Jeffersonville, Town of Clarksville, and the Government of Clark County. The grant itself that we're applying for is a Justice Assistance Grant that is part of the Byrne Memorial. This comes off of the foundation of our uniform crime reporting. We've been participating in this grant in approximately over 15 years, reporting this information, and the foundation of the information then provides us the opportunity to apply for this grant that is approximately $50,000. As you can see in your packets, the information that is on the interlocal agreement, it has a breakdown compositionally that is $22,000 the City of Jeffersonville, approximately $18,000 with the Town of Clarksville, and approximately $4,000 with the Government of Clark County. This will be a foundation of a grant that will allow us to purchase equipment for each agency, being the Clarksville Police Department and the Clark County Sheriff's Office and the Jeffersonville Police Department. I'm asking for support of a resolution in this manner today to support this grant and thus to have the opportunity. The grant is going to be administered by Delane Rutherford, grant writer for the City of Jeffersonville.
What's the resolution number?
6. Make a motion to approve 2015 R6.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second for 2015 R6. Any further discussion, comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Kelly Hoffman, revolving loan for Shimp.
Good evening. I have Jill, Steve, and Warren here with me tonight on behalf of Shimps. And last week, or I guess it was the week before, the revolving loan committee approved a recommendation for City Council for a $100,000 loan to Shimps for an expansion they're currently doing. They've purchased the building next door to them. They're renovating that building and looking to expand their business. So I'm here tonight requesting the $100,000 loan on their behalf.
council, I sent an email. I did go in and meet with Rob and went over the application. Everything's in order, and it's very exciting.
Do we need to pass this as a, it's not an ordinance or resolution, Vicki? What?
No, it would just be a motion approving it. There's in your packet, it looks like there's a letter dated May 26th with the terms, $100,000 loan, 120 month return, 5-year balloon, 2.15% interest rate. So it will be a motion pursuant to those terms.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve of the revolving loan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks for coming to us.
If I could make a statement, I really want to thank you for doing this. We're Jeffersonville's oldest retail business, been serving Jeffersonville for 124 years. Just so in case any of you heard on the news that something's coming down, the building is not coming down that you see from Spring Street. We're going to tear down the buildings in the back and build a two-story structure plus a basement in the back and have new manufacturing. So it's quite a huge project, and we do appreciate the help with this project, and it's going to really add to the downtown. So we do thank you. And then just so you understand that, this is going on, and Shimps is going on we have the next generation, which is my cousin's son, Steve. His mother grew up in the store, and he's got some attachment to it, and he will be hopefully the next generation owner. So we're digging in deeply into continuing the tradition in downtown Jeff.
Will business be open as usual during the renovation?
Oh, yeah. We're going to renovate the downstairs portion to expand the retail, and it will be open until I don't foresee any major closure, if any. So anyway, we do thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Merkley, we got a public hearings ordinance changing the zoning map destination of a certain tract of property located at 509 Ohio Avenue.
This property comes before you on a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. I don't know if Ms. Mullen is here. Kelly Mullen? She's right here. She might be able to explain. I'll let you come forward and explain exactly what you wanted to do, then I'll speak to you all regarding some.
Hi. Right now it's residential, and I want to put a 2-chair beauty salon in it, and then an office in the back for my fiance. And so we're just looking to upgrade the zoning a little bit so we could do that. Parking's been taken care of. Any questions? Okay.
And if I could, the Planning Commission approved this. Again, you're zoning this from an R3 to a C1. And if you look in your packet, there will be a list of the businesses that can be placed in the zoning district. The applicant has agreed to a written zoning commitment that would be recorded on this property to exclude any of the permitted uses in reference to auto businesses or auto sales, and then also to forego any of the uses listed under the special exception uses as well. So that would be a recorded zoning commitment that would be with the land and for any subsequent property owners. And that would say that was a requirement for the Planning Commission when they gave the favorable recommendation, and if you all do rezone this, that it would also be contingent, your rezoning would be contingent on that as well.
Yeah, we were grateful for the applicant for doing that.
This is public.
Do we have an ordinance number? Oh, that's right. You just told me that too. Okay, I'm going to officially open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here to wish to speak for or against this? Come up to the podium, speak your name and your address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to officially close public record.
What's the ordinance number?
27.
I'll make a motion to pass 2015 OR 27. This is only one reading.
Second.
I think the motion's already there.
Contingent.
Contingent upon the reporting of the voluntary zoning.
Yeah.
Right, because you all have a copy of it in your packet.
Yeah.
The commitment.
I did.
Oh, I didn't hear that, sorry. Can't hear tonight. I got a first and a second to approve 2015 OR 27 with the contingency. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Good luck.
Mr. Merkley, the zoning change for 1506 East 10th Street.
This, again, comes before you upon a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission by a 6-0 vote to rezone the property at 1506 East 10th Street from C2 to C1. The applicant is Hall's Properties Incorporated, and someone from Hall's Properties here? I guess not. This is the, if my memory serves me correct, this is the property located behind the Waffle House, between Waffle House and
For the laundry.
the hotel, the motel back there, and this is for the coin laundry. So it's actually from a C2 to a C1.
How do they access that property, Les?
I believe there's an easement across the property for both the Waffle House, the hotel, and for this property.
Any questions from the council before I open up?
But it's actually a downzoning.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up public hearing. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak for or against this property on 1506 East 10th Street? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to officially close public hearing.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to pass 2015 OR 28.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2015 OR 28. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Heather Metcalf, an ordinance of additional appropriation. We will be having a public hearing on June 15, 2015.
The first four here for the law, police, and fire are transfer from the council's budget for the performance increase pool that was missed at the last ordinance that you all approved. Then the last two for the parks must have been going crazy because that should be on a transfer ordinance, not necessarily an additional ordinance. So that's a transfer from open spaces to contract services, and that's for video work that Councilman Sestopny asked me to put
Do you want
on.
us to remove that from this?
Remove it from this one and then add it to a transfer for the next meeting. So it kind of does the same job, just on the wrong
Make a motion
ordinance.
to approve 2015 OR 29 on the first and second with the removal of the Parks and Rec lines.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to pass 2015 OR 29 on the first and second. Any further discussion, question, comment?
Does that include putting it on a transfer ordinance? Just removing it altogether?
You don't need a motion for that, do you?
Well, just to clarify why we're moving it.
Transfers you usually hear 2 times also, so
Right.
do you want it 2 more times after that?
Ooh.
We have to sign it a number.
Right, we wouldn't.
So we do
approve
need
that.
2 more times?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so I got the motion and the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We got
No worries.
Christine, I think, is going to fill in for Kim tonight on the salary ordinance.
Good evening, I'm Christine Geiser. On behalf of Kim Calabro, the HR Director, I'm here to request 3 amendments to Ordinance 2015, I believe that's OR 17. The first request is to delete the court clerk accounting deputy position that's found on page 2 of the current ordinance. This position was previously eliminated, but was inadvertently left in the ordinance as an oversight.
Excuse me just a second. This is going to be a new ordinance. This will be a totally new ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're amending.
We're amending, correct. It's on page 2. Do we see that one?
And then are there others?
Yes. Then the second request is to change the administrative 1 part-time position under Parks and Recreation on page 4. That's of the current ordinance to a full-time position. This will only be a change of status. It won't affect anything in title, pay grade, or salary. And then the third request is an addition of 3 firefighter positions on page 5. And that would increase the number from 19 to 22. Yes.
On the base plus 6, that needs to be dropped down where it says it's under deputy chief. It needs to be dropped down to base plus 6, 30% on the battalion chiefs.
Okay. Yes, Kim does have that on here too. And then the other items related to fixing salaries, appointed officers, and employees will be addressed by Kim at a later meeting.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve 2015 OR 30 on the first reading.
Second.
I got a motion, a second to pass 2015 OR 30 on the first reading. Any further discussion, comment?
A couple questions. Because we got, I think, the wrong copy in our packet. So,
I went through and redid the packet.
okay.
What you have in there is the correct packet. We took your ones that you all had in, because what happened is they had it up here as 2015 OR 17. That was removed. I went through and double checked with what Kim had given me. And I went through, I took it and redid it. So the ones that you had in your packet at the beginning are gone. These are the new ones.
Okay.
While you were at lunch.
Mine on page 4 still has the green space manager crossed out. I still have a general labor crossed out.
Not on, he must not have been looking at
Did
the
you
new
take
one.
your packet with you when you left?
Yes.
Well,
That's
that's why.
I took all that with me.
It's this one. See, it's not.
Do you have an extra copy?
You lost that paperwork.
I know. I'm just giving you all kinds of fits tonight.
Yeah, you are.
Right behind Nathan.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and this has got
That
to be
was-
changed down to there.
Down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, council personnel?
Now we're good.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Christine. Okay, I emailed this out, and you also have a copy in your packet. As you all know, the port is they want to apply for the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Tiger Grant, to expand their rail. And I just wanted to, wanted you all to have a chance to read this, because I'd really like to include this and get this to redevelopment so they can get this sent on to the port so they can up their chances, hopefully, of getting their
We've done
grant.
this before, that's good.
Yes.
Any motion?
This is what was sent out to us, right?
This is what was sent out, but in order to represent the council, even though I'm the one signing it, I want to make sure you all were aware of it, and I do want to take a vote on it, please.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the letter for the U.S. Department of Transportation Tiger Grant for the port. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. City Council Attorney Report. Is there any department heads here who need to speak? Public comment. Jim McCoskey on 10th Street. Your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Jim McCoskey, 1934 Majestic Meadows Drive, Clarksville. I'm here tonight to address a situation that I think is, in my opinion, very detrimental to this city. And that is the condition of the medians on 10th Street. You all received emails from myself and another individual. And I guess the only way I can describe it is it's deplorable. My wife and I, Miss Lynn, sitting right here, during our retirement years, we've had the privilege of traveling by vehicle, not airplane, over most of the United States, from Mississippi to the coast and from north to south. And every chance we get, we try to get off the interstates and go through the small towns and small country roads. Every time we come into a city or a town, and there's a beautiful sign that says, welcome to whatever the city's name. There's beautiful landscaping there. That really gives us a positive attitude about that place. And it makes us maybe even want to stop. Maybe stop for gas, stop to eat, or stop and shop or something. But when we come into a town and there's nothing, just says, Podunk County, here we are. The only thing we want to do, that immediately leaves a negative impression on us. And the only thing we want to do is get through that town, don't even want to stop for gas. We've got the same situation, in my opinion, at 10th Street. If anybody new to this community would approach Jeffersonville from 10th Street and saw the condition of these medians, I know I would, I'd try to find the quickest way out of here, and I would have no incentive to stop and do anything in the town of Jeffersonville. I would think, well, if this is the way their front yard looks, what does the inside of their house look like? I think it's deplorable that this is allowed to happen. I don't know who's done it, who's neglected it, but it needs to be corrected. Another situation that I addressed in my email to you were the bioswales here in the town. The one on Market between Mulberry and the bridge. There's one on Mulberry Street. I don't know what the streets it's between, but I think you know there's a big chain link fence along there. Those here again are in horrible condition. In terms of weeds and everything, we did notice yesterday when my wife and I drove down, there were a couple of the bioswales that were clean. I'm assuming the residents there were getting tired of looking at weeds and they went out and on their own initiative cleaned the place up. They had some pride in their area. There are bioswales on Chestnut that run from Pearl to Spring Street. My wife and I are part of City Pride. We have been maintaining those bioswales for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Last Saturday we went through there. We almost filled up one of those trash cans full of weeds and everything. We came back this past Saturday and it was almost as bad. It needs to be maintained. It needs to be more rock put in there to make it beautiful. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the same thing as coming in 10th Street. People that come across the ramp and come down Chestnut Street, that's the first impression that they have for Jeffersonville. And if you don't think first impressions make a difference, you're on another planet. We will continue to do this, my wife and I. We walk the bridge every Saturday. But we're at the point, my 72-year-old back and my wife's 70-year-old back is not, oh, sorry, Lynn. Soon to be 70. It's getting to the point where we can't climb down into those bioswales and get on our hands and knees and pull up weeds. So I'm just here to publicly address a situation which I think needs to be addressed, and it needs to be taken care of yesterday. Here again, I don't know who's responsible for it. I don't know whether you as a council can do anything about it, but I hope you can. I hope somebody will take some pride, because you can walk down Spring Street and other portions of the street, and you can tell what city pride has done. But there's other portions in Jeffersonville, doesn't look like there's any city pride. Thank you.
I asked Mr. McCoskey actually in replying to his email. I'm assuming that those emails went out to all the council people. I'm not sure. I know I received it. And there was some going back and forth between the mayor and between the individuals who sent the emails, where he was implying that the council had not funded for the medians to be taken care of, which I replied to him that I believe it was last year, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, that redevelopment, which we read in the newspaper, used to maintain the medians, and then they dropped it, and then in the newspaper the mayor stated that the city council was going to have to take care of it, which we cannot contract and we cannot hire people. So I want that out front. The council cannot hire, we cannot contract, and we cannot tell city employees where they have to work. That is all the executive function of the city. However, we did fund it, and I'm going to be honest here, Nathan and Dennis and I don't know, Lisa and Ed were working on it last year, and they wanted the parks to step in and do it because we do have the Parks Authority, and I was against that, not because I didn't think they needed to be maintained, but because I felt that it was redevelopment responsibility, and it is not a parks property. However, I was overruled, and it was taken care of last year. This year, I know there's a team of 4 individuals, and again, I think it was Nathan, Dennis, Lisa, and Ed, who are working for over 8 months to help get this green team going. And the Monday before we ever received the emails from you all, we questioned Mr. Northern as to why 10th Street looked so bad and the bioswales, and we were told that they were working on other areas. So, and Lisa knows more about the bioswales because drainage had some comments about that, and you can say what they told you.
I just at the last council meeting that we had one of the board members speak up. He has a background, knows the bioswales and the plants, and he said if they're not, his concern is if they're not addressed soon within the next couple of weeks, we're going to lose the bioswales. And I know the drainage, because of one that wasn't maintained, they had to pay to have that whole thing redone, and I don't think they want to go through the expense of having to redo the bioswales.
Yeah, I've got a couple pictures with, the pictures I have is the bioswales is in my district, in the 1st district. This one here, I'm going to show you several pictures. This is a picture of the bioswale. This is the 2nd time it's been rebuilt. It was done once, and it was completely gutted and ripped out, and was done again last year. Now this is on Walnut Street that runs between 7th and 8th. So there's well, it's Fowles property, and there's a fence that runs parallel. It runs north and south. No, it's all right. I'll get it. Okay, anyway, this is one picture of it. Here's another picture of it, and it's so overgrown that it would be hard to designate between the actual plants that's supposed to be there and the weeds, unless you have an expertise in that field. This is another picture of it again. This is looking north. Well, there's a white truck right there. You go. That's A Street, and you can tell all the growth that is coming up through the rocks. Normally, in just my estimation, normally that would take 2 hours to kind of clean up and maintain. Now you're going to have a day, at least a day's worth of work, probably 2 or 3 men doing this. So really all we're doing is creating more of a burden on our employees, because now we're going to let everything fall behind because this has not been done. In the past, they've always hit the bioswales before Thunder over Louisville. That seemed to be a target date. It was just randomly picked, I guess, because of the out-of-city, out-of-town traffic. But you can see this bioswale here has not been touched. I'll just show you. This is Clark Street. This is Clark and West Market Street. Okay, there's just a picture of some of the weeds and growth. Here's a picture here of a lot of the growth. A lot of the weeds have almost grown as tall as the actual plants. I know this doesn't look like a lot, but my point is, every one of them little greeneries in there need to be taken out or they're going to grow up, and you can just see how quick it's being overtaken. And these are just several pictures. I'm just going to pass through them here. Now, with this picture, there's a car in front of it, and I purposely did that. Hopefully you can kind of get a visual on the size of these by using a car. And I think Mr. Mikowski talked about this one. Now, this is the newest one, and this is a very narrow bowel swell, but it is fairly deep. In the picture here, you can see where the growth is already starting to come up, and that's only been a few weeks. If City Pride addressed these several weeks ago, then you can see the growth has already taken place. Same thing here. This is a drain where the water fills up the gutter. As it runs down the gutter, it does what a bowel swell is supposed to do. The water goes into the bowel swell and is supposed to stay in the bowel swell for maybe up to an hour until it eventually percolates down through the soil. And you can see with the growth and the weeds and the cigarette butts that drain right there is not going to work. That water will not get in the bowel swell. This just shows another growth in the weeds. I know there's more pictures. I know Vicki has more pictures to show, but what I wanted to do was take these pictures because they're in my district. The original bowel swell is West Market Street, and you know, we've had cars run into them, knock the trees down, which I know we can't help that, but they're not being replaced. These trees aren't being replaced. So I think we're at a point of no return, and I think that at some point, I just want to point these out, but if we don't address these, now I don't know what it costs to do the 8th and Walnut Street, which has already been addressed twice, but it's thousands of dollars, and it's going to reach a point where every bit of that's going to have to be tore out. It's all got that large river rock. It's all growing up through the weed thing or whatever, so I just wanted to point these out. These are in my district. I get comments about these all the time, and they're not good comments. And this is just an example. So I just wanted to show them to you.
Do you want to show these other pictures? Please. Please. Okay.
I don't know where they're at, so.
I think we can identify them. That's 10th Street.
That's 10th Street median. As a matter of fact, if you look on the right, roughly, I don't know, Child Place is where Councilman Nathan Samuels is. Just to give you kind of an idea, that's his facility up there.
That's more 10th.
This is kind of in the same area. This is looking west. Okay, this is one. This is mine.
That's a Nahan Fieldhouse.
Okay, this is the Nahan Fieldhouse. Now, last year, I think we put in new sidewalks. If you remember, all the sidewalks were broken up and there was a lot of tripping hazards. And I don't know if Kelly was here, I think UEZ might have put in a little money on this, I don't remember, but we tore it all out, put in new sidewalks. I know Paul led the way on this. And then we end up seeding it and putting some landscaping in there. And not only is it growing up, but if you notice with the air conditioning unit being right there, all that is going to do is suck in weeds and debris and clog that unit up, and it'll burn the unit up. So, I mean, that's a twofold problem. This is a little bit blurry. That's at 10th Street. Okay, that's another one. These are mine here.
That looks like 8th and Walnut again.
Yeah, this is 8th and Walnut, and again, this is looking, we're looking north, standing at 8th Street, going south, standing at 8th going towards Court Avenue. Same one. This is the actual intersection of 8th and Walnut, and you notice the steel grate in the center, and it's hard to see, but there's a lot of leaves and debris. This bioswale, I don't even think, I'm not an engineer, but I've stood in water up to my knees multiple times. I don't even know if it works properly, engineered properly. But all that debris that you're seeing, once it stops up the mouth of that opening, it sure doesn't help with the flooding.
Mike, how long ago was that put in there, that bioswale? I mean, is that 2
This-
years old or 5 years old, or?
This was
That was
put,
10th Street project? I mean, older?
no, it was a separate project. This is 8th and Walnut,
How
and
long has that been in there?
2 years, probably.
So it's only been there 2 years.
2 to 3 years, but it's been rebuilt. It's been redone twice. It was done originally when they built it.
How long has 10th Street been there? 3 years?
Oh.
4 or 5.
4?
Yeah.
Now, and what you need to know about 10th Street, and I don't know if the bioswales were ever contracted out, but Walnut Ridge did the 10th Street medians. I think it was about $60,000 a year.
With mulch and...
With mulch, fertilizer, everything that they needed to do to maintain it. And I just don't know if we can keep up with it with the manpower that we have. I don't think we can.
I do want to make a point, Councilman Sellers, on that. It is a good point. There was a rough finger count, person count. We had 12 employees up there the other day, which I'm not complaining, but I'm pointing it out. That's 12 man hours. That's 96 man hours we put in one day. Now you multiply that per hour.
The difference is on all of these, if they're managed right and you come into these early in the spring and you put in a herbicide that's going to keep these weeds from germinating, they never get to look like this. It's all management.
Right. But if you don't, but if people don't know the right things to use, like you said, there was.
Oh, I agree.
There was some stuff killed up at the new Big Four station
I
because
agree.
herbicide was used on the wrong thing.
Yep.
So it's like, you gotta know what you're doing.
This is 10th Street. I'm going to go through these real quick unless you tell me to stop. Again, this is the newest project, was last year around the Henfield House. More 10th Street.
That's Vissing Park with the rocks.
Okay, this is which park is this?
Park.
Vissing Park. So that's a year's worth of growth. This is a brand new park.
I think what happens here, I mean, just like anything, I mean, how many employees did they have 4 years ago versus now? I don't know. I mean, has anybody got a count on that? I mean, I think Jeff looks a lot better. I think a lot of the residents realize that. But anytime you put more greenery somewhere, it's going to take more manpower to do. Anytime I do improve my place, I've got to manage it more. So a lot of times I don't do that. I mean, how many employees do they have 4 years ago versus now?
Well, but the thing is, it was contracted out. So, because they knew that our manpower could not handle it. And actually, that would be a cheaper way to go, is to contract, because now we've got how much did you say on the green team? It's about 150,000 we're
We
paying?
appropriated, it seems like about $150,000 between manpower and...
This is a brand new park. This is only a few years old. There's Vissing Park. Look at that.
So are we proposing to add into the budget next year to contract out for more?
We can't contract anything.
Well, we can put dollars in the budget for the Board of Public Works to budget or to
I'm not
contract.
proposing anything. I'm just saying that we were told that it was not funded, and it was funded to be taken care of, and the council did the funding. We cannot.
Well, I agree.
Well, I think what happens here a lot of times, I don't know, I mean, I'm new on this, but is there more activities in downtown Jeff with the concerts and stuff? And are they pulling those guys? Paul, are you pulling more guys to try to concentrate on the hot spots on the time of year with the rain? And
Well, the problem is we're undermanned, first of all.
Oh, if you could come up.
First of all, we got a late start. As you know, this all should have been taken care of early in the winter, February, March. We should have had the team in place. We should have sprayed for the pre-emergence early, and we didn't. Last year, the drainage department worked in the bioswale, in the 10th Street medians, and at the end of the year, they didn't cut anything back. I'm not blaming anybody because they didn't have the manpower to do it either. They weren't cut back properly, and so we're behind the gun. Now, last week, we had the opening of the River Stage. We had the opening of the Aquatic Center. We had the opening night at Warder Park for the concerts in the park. And then we have to maintain 30-plus other parks. So I'm prioritizing the best I can. I have on a daily basis people calling wanting to know why this park wasn't cut. I've got a church picnic at this park. How come you haven't cut this park? So I can sit up here all day and give you excuses. I hate excuses, so I don't want to give you excuses. All I can say is we're trying to get caught up. We did spend 2 days last week at the 10th Street medians with all of our employees, not just green space. All of our parks guys were out there for 2 days straight, and we didn't get half of it done. We've got to go back tomorrow and probably Wednesday and maybe even Thursday before we just get the weeds and the trash picked up. And then we got to come back another week and start pulling out the dead stuff and spraying and mulching. So this job, it's huge, this 10th Street medians. And then we haven't even touched the bioswale. So I admit, and I agree with these people back here where they're saying that it looks horrible. It does look horrible. And all I can tell you at this point is we're doing the best we can and with the employees we have.
Well, don't we have full-time employees up at Visiting Park?
We have 2 guys that have to cut and prep the fields at Visiting Park and at Worley Soccer Complex and at Little League Ballpark. Last year, we had 2 guys that were up there doing nothing but that, but then when we picked up Worley Soccer Fields, they picked up that as well. This year we changed it around a little bit because we were short-manned and we moved some people over into the green space. But I started hiring some seasonal people. I've got 2 on board. I've got 2 or 3 more coming this week to interview. Again, we got a late start on that, so I agree. There are some things that look a mess. We can't blame it on. I can't blame it on the head of the green team. No matter who would be in this position, I think they would look the way they look right now because of the timing and the shortness of staff.
Well, you keep referring to shortness of staff. Why do you say that when you're the one that was part of putting this staff together?
Well, when I came to this committee, they asked me to go out and find how many people you need for this committee. I did the numbers. I talked to Donnie Poole, and I came back with 14 employees. We weren't ready to hire 6 new employees. We were ready to hire 2 new employees. So we hired 2 and took 8 existing to make a 10-man team. Now, the other thing is I've got 2 employees, and I can't talk about because of HIPAA laws that I've lost for a number of months, and that's put me short-staffed. 2 regular employees, 4 other employees that we could have had on this team, but I realized funding was an issue. I don't think that we were ready to build a 16 or a 14-person team financially, so we said, let's start with 10. And I went to the committee and I said, all right, we're going to do our best to work with 10, but I may come back to you in June and say 10's not enough, we need more. We're just struggling to get everything done, and we're trying to put out fires as best we can.
Okay, I don't know, don't take this wrong, but we do a lot of work outside of cutting grass on non-city properties.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and we've talked, and Scott's beat this in my head, so as far as always having a contractor, an agreement, a liability, something, because some of these properties we're taking care of, Paul, we don't have any contracts for, whether it's money or just liability issues or whatever the case may be.
Correct.
But some of these projects, which possibly could be winter projects, we're doing at this type of season. Now, I don't know how these projects, how you pick and choose what projects get done, but I would think, as you said earlier, especially this time of year, it's just full time to maintain what we have, but yet we're taking on these other projects that I wonder if we aren't, if our timing isn't bad on that.
What other projects are you speaking of?
Oh, you're building a huge deck down at Preservation Park Station. Now,
we tried to start on that 5 weeks ago when it was earlier in the year, and we got pushed back because we had other things going on. Last week I pulled my guys off of it so we can try to get back on the 10th Street medians. I'll agree that that was probably poor timing, but we couldn't do it in the middle of the snow season, and we couldn't do it when it was raining, so we had to do it at some point. Maybe this should be a fall
I know, but why do
fall
we have
project.
to do it?
Why do we have to do it? Because it looks horrible.
I know,
It's
but
not our property.
it's not our property. The park is our property, the building is not our property. And who's the deck? I say the deck is in the park, is my opinion. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Well,
I think the property is in the parks. The building's not ours, but the property is ours.
Well, I don't, here's the thing, I'm not here to, I want to get it resolved, okay? And I know the decks, but this is a huge deck. I mean, you know that, and it's a long process, and it's going to be an expensive process just because of its size. And I don't, but I'm just saying, some of these projects, I just don't know if we can't do it all, Paul. We just don't have talk about the manpower. We can't take care of our own property and then work outside on some of these other properties. And we don't even have any type of contractual commitment to protect our employees or the property owners if something happens.
Well, in my opinion, the deck is in the park. It's not part of the building. That's my opinion. I may be wrong.
I have no idea.
I went on that assumption that the deck is in the park, and it's a park property, and we're replacing the deck.
Well, if that was the case, then that would be under our liability. That would be under our insurance, and that would be a good question. But that's irrelevant. I mean, I'm not interested in going there. I'm just interested in getting it resolved. And the reason I brought them bioswales, them are in my district. On West Market Street has been an issue since this first year, actually the second year, but the first year they become part of the maintenance.
I agree with everything that's said here today. It all needs to be done. I just can't do it. I can't do it with what I've got. In maybe a month, it might be caught up, but who wants to look at it for a month? So if you guys, you want to change things around and give it to drainage or contract it out or whatever, that's fine. I'm telling you, we're doing the best we can with it.
See, those bioswales were put in, 2-3 years ago?
Some of them's longer than that. The West Market Street was...
Anytime you do improvements like we've done in the city, especially like that 10th Street, there's no way you can keep up with that stuff. I mean, with the manpower. Some of that 10th Street stuff, my agreement 3 years ago shouldn't even put in there. It's
But it was.
We got
And
it.
so now you got to deal with it.
It's ours.
And
Or
it
it's
was
somebody's.
done by redevelopment, and it was contracted out by them, and then it was dropped. So then the city has to pick it up, but it's, unfortunately, I don't know how it got to parks, because it's not parks.
Because I said, let's put it under parks. I raised my hand, and they said, where's it going to go? And I said, sounds logical to under Parks Department. And it did sound logical.
And when we talked about this last year, when we talked about putting a team together to get a handle on the maintenance issues, because there have always been maintenance issues in the parks, it was talked about, well, let's put this team together of 6 new employees, and I think the comment was made, maybe this needs to be a whole new department. And I believe the comment at that time was, let's walk before we crawl, and let's see how this goes, and if we need to add to it, we can add to it. So why are we not talking about adding to it to get the job done, instead of standing here for 20 minutes pointing out how terrible everything looks? We all know how bad it looks. We all know that the team is doing what they can with what they've got. So what's the solution moving forward? Do we want to appropriate more money to contract out, some help? Do we want to appropriate money to hire some more employees? All these pictures of problems aren't any kind of solution.
No,
what's the way forward?
My intent of the picture was to, Matt, and again, I don't know if you drive A Street. Instead of me just saying something, at least it's more a visual.
I understand.
That's it. I didn't do it.
But what are we going to do about it?
I mean, when I was in all the meetings with Nathan and Dennis, this all first came up. Because how this all came up was redevelopment made a decision, right or wrong, they made a decision that they were no longer going to fund any contract to maintain the 10th Street. At that time, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 people were in those meetings, I think Paul was there and Andy was there. At that time, 3 options were discussed. Option 1 was rip it out. I don't think anybody wanted to do it. If we would have done that, we wouldn't be here tonight. The other option was you do it somehow, you make it work in-house. Option 3 was, at that time was, the city council could appropriate money for Board of Public Works to contract. The decision was made at that time to do it in-house. Correct. And the bioswales up until this year were handled by drainage. And everything's been put under one quasi department. That's where we're at. So what you got?
And how long's the green team been in existence?
Green team, I mean, this has only been in place for about a month, Paul?
Maybe 2.
6 or 8 weeks.
I think we just talked last time, we gotta give it time to work.
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, it seems like me that what should have been done is a little bit more foresight should have been done, is the green team should have been in place more than a month. But wouldn't have the situation.
And we've had a lot of exceptional rain this year, floods. I'm not, I don't know if the man needs more.
Let me just jump in for a second, because when we first started, we said, what do we need to do? What does this need to be to accomplish our task? We talked about it. It was a daunting task. We got a lot of parks. Our bioswales are
And I can point out, I mean, it's just the sky.
No, let Nathan finish. Let Nathan finish, please.
And we
I'll let
all
you-
came together with the department heads, Paul and Les Dennis, and everybody around the table. We said, how many people do we need? We did a study or an evaluation. We logged all the properties, everything else, and it was brought back and said, this is what we need to get it done. And at the time, we said, okay, we'll try it. We fully funded that. We fully funded that. If we need more men or women, then we need to know that. We need to see the plan and say, yeah, we need however many more men or women to help. But at the time, we hired what we all agreed on. And so that's where we are. And at any point, any of our department heads, if they need more staff, they come and tell us. And Paul's, I think, waving the white flag saying, I need help.
Need more help, yeah.
And so we need, rather than us just say, come up with something, we need to go back to Paul and his folks and say, tell us what you need, and put it on paper, and let's debate that or talk about that or whatever. But until we have a plan or whatever, we're not going to go anywhere. And so that's
And I
my
think it would be
comment.
good to have a schedule, and I think that's part of what the new Green Team manager is supposed to be working on, is what parks you do when should you get started on the medians, which is too late now, but for next year, this is what you need to do, this is what needs to be fertilized, and so we need to see that plan too, because then that's going to help us know how many more people, because you can hire 20 people, if you don't have a plan and everybody's running around, it's going to be the same thing.
Okay, Mr. Merkley.
Back what Nathan said, I mean, this potentially is going to be worse. Because right now, redevelopment is paying, contracting out the maintenance of Big Four Station. And that was at the request. I was at the meeting with Nathan and Dennis, and I think what the agreement was that was just too big of a job to be handled in-house based on what we have down there. Redevelopment right now is funding a contract. The Indiana Supreme Court upholds the Munster case. Redevelopment's not going to be able to fund it.
I think UEZ kicks in a little bit on that too, don't they, Wes?
Yeah, yes, but I mean, but they're not going to be able to fund that entire contract. So I mean, potentially, you know, when the Supreme Court rules, if they uphold that decision that we make, we can say who can contract, who can't contract. At the end of the day, you're the fiscal body, you appropriate dollars.
And I agree with Nathan. What we did is we had drainage, we had street department, and we had parks department. And we looked at the assets that they were committing, manpower and equipment, to the job. We accumulated it all, and you know, we came together with a number of employees. And I agree, if we're this far into it, we got to get these things straightened out. And we've got to come to a plan. We've got to come to a solution to move forward, or move forward faster, I'll say. And but the key is going to be using the proper tools that we have, being chemicals and so forth, and let them be our friend.
Right.
I mean, that's the key to this whole thing, and being knowledgeable on what we're doing. So that's going to be the key to this whole thing.
Well, would you say that this green team's a failure?
I think it's too early to say that, Mike. I don't think so. I think in some early discussions, you know, one of the things I remember telling everybody is, we need to get this thing up and moving, you know?
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen it started 30 days prior to when it did. However, it didn't. We still had the manpower and the people. We should have been putting chemicals down regardless, by department. If you know, if the green team hadn't started yet, so be it. We still have a process to work through.
So would you think, are we at a point now to get things done quick? Because that's what we're talking about here, because we can drag this on for another 6 months, because it took us a year to build it. Should we look into, I think Matt had just maybe touched on a little bit, should we look into, and I don't know what we can or can't do, I'm just throwing it out there, some of this stuff needs to be addressed quick. Like the 8th and Walnut Street is a huge task, okay? Should we, and I don't know how to get there from here, but should we come up with a plan to contract out some of these bigger ones to get them?
I think that's Paul's decision.
Well, I mean, we got to get them managed. I don't want to go out here and hire 10 people and build decks and cut everybody's property.
Yeah, I don't.
But if we contract out something, then, you know, they're like, here's our property. Give us a bid on getting it to where it should be, and it's X number of dollars. Because once it's taken care of, then we're into July and August when the summer hits, and the team and Paul and them can manage a little bit better, but they can't.
I can tell you this, drainage has, they have put a program together before and jobbed that out. I know they have, to get them cleaned up. Maybe that's something Paul looks at to get somebody in there to help with that. So,
It could be less expensive to contract it out than to try to hire.
I think it could be.
And quicker, because you know how long it takes to
We're
hire
talking about
employees.
quickness.
Well, you don't want to lose what you got.
Right.
You don't want to lose your investment. So
I just think we need, Paul probably doesn't sleep well at night ever since all this issue came up. It is, tell us what you need, and we'll try to help you fulfill that. If it's contracting, then tell us that's what we got to do, and then put together a quote or a RFP for that. And if it's hire people, just you tell us, and we'll debate it or vote on it then.
Thank you.
My opinion.
Paul? Yep. I'd like to suggest that Ed's not here, but he is president of Parks. Councilperson Sellers is vice president of Parks, and like myself, one more want to volunteer. Let's set up a meeting this week, and maybe we can, in a more, not so formal, and let's have this dialogue. Just lay out what you need. We can discuss some things. We need some solutions. And try to do the best thing we can going forward.
Okay, we'll do it. Thank you.
Somebody else want to volunteer? No. Okay. No, to meet with Paul.
Full week.
No, to meet with Paul.
And I want to thank City Pride for all they put in, because you guys are boots on the ground, and you all do a great job, and we appreciate that.
I just think he's got a lot on his plate, and maybe he needs to need part-time or contract help the first 3 or 4 months in the spring. You know, spring is where you got to address this more than anything.
Okay.
With all the activities they got going on in the city, I think it's best.
Okay, I'm going to call this discussion to a close, please, for sake of time. Let's move on to council comments. Was that?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good? Okay.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment. Councilperson Julius?
I just wanted to talk about the Shimps for a minute. Being a local downtown business myself and using the low-interest revolving loan years ago, it's a great tool that was set up years ago for downtown business and downtown development. And that low interest, I mean, they're cutting the interest rate by 2/3. And it is a huge advantage for downtown businesses. And the Shimps are very loyal to Jeffersonville, and they're good stewards of Jeffersonville, and I applaud the council for approving that, because you'll get a big bang for your buck there. So that's all I have to say.
Councilperson Owen?
No comment.
Councilperson Samuel?
A couple things. First of all, I've spoken with Andy Crouch, and I've asked him if he would come next meeting to do a sidewalk master plan update. We talked about sidewalks, and he's had time to start working on them, and he said he would come, so I would ask our clerk if we'd make sure and put.
It's already on.
And I didn't want to try to be way ahead of that call.
You don't want to get in trouble.
Learned. And the second thing, Vicki, if you don't mind, put it on the screen. I'm just pretty much announcing this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is our second phase of our utility box paintings. And in case that we have a rain out or it doesn't work, it's going to be in 2 weeks. And we have 13 boxes. If you can see, now this, everybody's getting this hot off the presses because nobody else has seen this. So these are the ones that were selected by the Public Art Commission as the winners. And these 13 different pieces, and if you can imagine, these are wrapped around a box, so they kind of may look a little awkward, and some of you even have one for the top, the little flap that goes over the top. So these are our next ones that are going to be happening this, hopefully, starting Friday. Last time we did it, we ran the trolley all around and had people kind of do the trolley hop thing. We're not going to do it this time because these are spread out over the city. If you remember, I asked most everybody for one in their district, and talked to the mayor, got one from him, and so these are all spread around, and we're going to try to do something fun with it, and like once they're all done, a contest with, if you take your picture with all the boxes, you get something, or post it on Facebook or something. So
Maybe.
yes.
You want to go through each one?
No, I mean, not to cut you off, I just. But they're all over town, and hopefully it'll generate quite a bit more of excitement. And I thought I'd share it with the audience and share it with the council people. And if you're out and about this Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and if it's a decent day, if you see these people out there painting, thank them, holler at them, do something, because ought to be another positive thing. That's all I have.
I'm going to leave it up here if you all want to take a look.
Okay. As we got a heartfelt thanks from, we can pass this around, that is from the Bryant family for flowers that we sent to Charlie. And this was sitting up here, I guess I was supposed to say that the 12th Annual Jeffersonville Celebration Freedom Parade is July 4th, 2015, 11 a.m. I don't know who, David, do you remember who is in charge of the parade for the Steamboat County? Did we pick somebody in charge of the parade?
I thought Sarah took
should?
the, Jim?
We're not in charge of it, but we're part of the committee for the 4th of July parade.
Okay. Okay. So,
Wonder who the applications go through. Is that what?
Do you have any idea who we turn these?
Parks?
Jim Ford. Is there a address on there?
No, it just well.
I thought there was an address on there.
Might be something on there. Yes, it says for parade information, please contact Jim Ford at 502-939-9392. So if you want to get a float or an applicant into the 4th of July parade. And also, this Wednesday is the graduation for the very first Citizens Police Academy class. I did survive. I will graduate, and I highly recommend it if they have another one for anybody to attend. And that's all I have right now. So I have a motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.